Welcome back. Wanted to talk today about, it's kind of an interesting topic. I think a lot of guys do this job because they don't necessarily like to interact. Maybe you're not as comfortable with the whole customer service aspect of a lot of jobs. Things like that. And one of the things that you do still have to do is be able to interact with the customers, whether it be the shippers or the receivers. And then conversely, you have to be able to interact with your fleet manager. So this is kind of a communication topic, and it's a video about if something doesn't go your way. I hear far too often, and I guess that's the bottom line. I hear from way too many drivers. I showed up, their tank was full, and I went off on a rant and I started yelling at this receiver. If you're confused about what I'm talking about, I did a video. One of the worst things you can hear, or the worst thing you can hear, is the tank is full. So you can go back, and I'll try and throw that one in the description here. The bottom line is, and Prime will make mention of this, you are the face of Prime. Just about everybody who works in the office, 99% of their interactions with shippers, receivers, any customers, things like that, are going to be done on the telephone. So and I'm sitting at a receiver right now, and one of the reasons is I did not get the answer. It's an answer I expected, but it's not the answer I wanted. And like I said, I hear far too often different reactions about how guys deal with not getting the answer they want when they get to shippers or receivers. So I kind of wanted to address that. But again, all those guys in the office, they'll fly out and meet with customers and whatnot, and customers will fly to Springfield and meet with the corporate office and all those people. But 99% of the time, when people in the office talk with Prime, they're doing it over the phone. So who are the people that these folks see and deal with on a daily basis? It is the drivers when they show up and they pick up a load or they deliver a load. And this, I do tanker, but this goes for all divisions. This goes for flatbed drivers, this goes for reefer drivers, and it goes obviously for us in tanker as well. 99% of the time on a daily basis, you, the driver, is going to be the one that they remember. It gives the impression. Did you show up and your trailer was not loaded on time? Listen, the world is not a perfect place. If you are expecting to come into trucking, one of the things that you will hear very frequently is, that's trucking. And that's trucking is a metaphor for your trailer is not loaded on time. Your appointment was scheduled incorrectly. Your trailer has damage because the previous driver did not feel like getting it repaired. Your appointment for delivering is scheduled incorrectly and you can't make it on time. Your appointment time is not being honored when you get to the receiver. They don't have space when you get to the receiver. They can't unload you on time. You ran into traffic and you can't make it on time. You ran into bad weather. You insert whatever scenario, that's trucking. It's whatever Murphy's Law that you can think of is going to happen while you're out here driving. Would I love to tell you that none of that stuff ever happens and you're going to always show up and your product's going to be ready, you're going to load on time, you're going to deliver on time, customers are going to be thrilled to see you when you get there? I'd love to tell you that that is the case 100% of the time, but it's not. Case in point, I showed up an hour early. I had 2 deliveries today. My morning delivery, I showed up a little over an hour early. I think it was an hour and 10 minutes early. They were thrilled to see me, told me to back right in. They were out and ready to unload me within 10 minutes of me showing up and talking with security. I showed up. Their procedure is I showed up, I place a phone call to a number, tell security that I'm there. They tell me to go ahead and back in, and somebody meets me outside. Within 10 minutes, that person was outside, and we were unloading. I was actually physically unloading within 15 or 20 minutes. I would love to tell you that's how everything is. It's not. So I was unloading approximately 50 minutes before my appointment time. My second delivery today, I showed up 2 hours early. Now, there's a reason for that, and it has to do with the hours of service and all that. But I'm 2 hours early. Actually, a little less than 2 hours, call it an hour and 45 minutes early. The procedure at this place is I back in because their spot are always open. They tell you to just back in. And then you go in and hit a buzzer. There's a button. You hit a buzzer. And somebody from the warehouse comes over. Show them my paperwork. Say, hi, I've got soybean oil. And he says, your appointment's not for 2 more hours. Now, at that point, you can choose to be upset and say, well, I'm here now, I'm out of hours, which will be the case shortly. I'm actually not out of hours yet, but by the time we do get unloaded, and I will be out of hours. Or you can say, thank you, I'm out there whenever you're ready for me, which is what I said. Now, they may not get out here right at 7 o'clock. My appointment is at 7. It is currently 5:30. And that's where you get guys who, there are things that happen. Somebody might have called in sick today, so they've got a backup guy who's doing 2 jobs in the warehouse, and one of them involves unloading this truck. They might have a tank that's full because a production line is shut down for one reason or the other. And it might take an extra couple of hours, and they won't be ready to receive me until, instead of 7 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock, maybe 10 o'clock, maybe 1 a.m. So 7 p.m. appointment. And again, this is a case where drivers will get upset and start yelling at the receiver. The bottom line is, if you treat them nicely, even though his first reaction when I got to this receiver today was to say, your appointment's not until 7, why are you here, more or less. And I was expecting that reaction because that's the reaction you get every time you show up here. But there are far too many times that I hear about other drivers who say, I showed up at this place and they were just jerks. The security guy was a jerk, and that may be letting off steam. That may just be driver talk. But there are far too many times that I hear that and hear somebody say, well, I let the person, the shipper, the receiver, the person who works at the tank wash know that I was not happy about it. And again, all you're doing is you're reflecting poorly on Prime because you are the face of Prime. So just a comment that although this is a largely individual job, I've mentioned before, you don't need a lot of assistance to get this job done. It's, here's the address and a time. You pick up here, you deliver to this address and this time at that time. You figure everything else out. But you still need to be able to exercise the customer service skills when you deal with the customer. I was talking with somebody at the place that I delivered yesterday about somebody who was frustrated about one topic or another. That's trucking topic. And their reaction was, that person is never going to be allowed to deliver here again. They took the truck number down. They had his name from when he checked in, and they called Prime and said, please do not send him here again. Obviously, that's an extreme situation, but it is just a reminder that you are the face of Prime, and you still do have to have some of those customer service skills. So just a quick note on that. I don't want to beleaguer the point. Treat everybody like you'd like to be treated. If you treat them nicely, you think about a situation where the tank is full. If they get to a point, that the level's going down slowly, and let's say they can unload your trailer when the tank reaches 50% full. If you've been a jerk to the person inside, maybe they get to 50% full and they can just barely fit what you have in the trailer into their tank. Maybe they say, well, you know what? Maybe we need to get it down to 40% because we want to just make absolutely sure that we can fit him in. Well, maybe that's another hour. Maybe that's another 2 hours for the company to use that much product before they decide they can start unloading you. Whereas if you were nice to them, then you get to that 50% mark. Then they say, well, let's start you. Maybe we unload you slowly because we know we're going to use a little more product in the time that we're unloading. So it behooves you to treat them like human beings. I guess it really is the bottom line. Treat them nicely. They're going to treat you nicely. And again, it's basic customer service. It's simple courtesy as well. So just a couple little quick comments on that. It's something you'll hear frequently in trucking. And I hope that you come into this with that mindset that, yes, it is an individualized industry, but you do still rely upon these people. And again, same situation with your fleet manager. Your fleet manager is not your boss, but he is your partner. Especially, I'm talking on the lease side. Now, if you're a company driver, that's a different story. That is your boss if you're a company driver. But you need to have a good relationship. Just because he's not your boss does not mean that you get to yell at him unless there's a legitimate reason. But even still, you want to maintain a good relationship because if they're not making money, you're not. If you're not making money, they're not making money, and vice versa. So, a couple of thoughts on that. It should be basic, really basic stuff. So, hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching. Again, click on the link in the description, and if you want to come to Prime, that'll take you right to the application. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again next week.